Okay, everybody, I'm really honored today to introduce you to Dustin Kircher. He is a longtime leader in SubTo, and in fact, has been one of the earliest members of SubTo. He's located here in California, where I am, and he is also was a real estate investor long before you ever got in SubTo. So let's welcome Dustin on board and jump in at this point. Thank you, Dustin, for joining me.
Thanks, Robin. Thanks for having me in here. I look forward to talking with everybody and share my experience.
Good, good. So, when we had a little conversation earlier, you shared with me that you've really been an entrepreneur your whole life, and
Yeah.
you kind of chuckled about that. That you even started in school. When you were what, in high school, you were doing business.
Junior high, actually.
Junior high. Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
how did you, I mean, how did that get started, and what paths have you taken, and how did it lead to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, it goes a long ways because I've been in real estate for 18 years. But like, if we're going back to the junior high days, I just, I've always had this entrepreneurial spirit. Even if I think about now, like I was actually trading baseball cards, when I was a little kid. Right. But in junior high is where I really took it to, I guess I say, to the next level. Is I would go to a place called Smart and Final they have out here in California, and I would buy bulk things of candy, and then I would go and take them to school, and I would sell those candies off piece by piece, right? And then it led to everybody would stand in the pizza line because everybody wanted pizza for lunch. So I figured out how to get boxes of pizza, a whole large, and then I would sell them off for like $1 more than what the lunch line, but you didn't have to wait in line. It was like, here's your pizza, and I made money that way. So those are the first couple things I started doing in the entrepreneur side, and then. High school came. I did stuff here and there, same thing, kind of selling candy and stuff like that. But I was really focused in sports at that point. So I always had a competitive side to me. It's funny is I love playing sports. I don't watch sports, so people ask me about players and teams, and I have no clue. I just love playing sports because I was a competitive person. And I still look at that in business, although it's more collaboration. I still want to be the best, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, so high school came around, and I, was taking automotive classes, and I used to tell my friends and family that in high school that I'm either going to own a custom car shop, or I'm going to be a real estate investor. Because at that same time too, I had my senior year begged my parents to buy me the No Down Payment by Carlton Sheets. So he's like one of the first people doing the info commercials. And I read that thing back and forward multiple times, so I was intrigued. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Same time, my aunt got me Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I read that, and I was just like, yep, this is, I mean, so many people got started with that book, right? Into the entrepreneurial side. And I realized that was for me. So, I actually out of high school decided to go to be a mechanic, realized I hated it. And I loved working on my own cars. And I still, have had a bunch of old, cool classic cars, but I hated working on it for other people. And so I realized that wasn't for me. I was going to go back to school to learn business marketing. At the same time, I was taking real estate classes. Well, that first in between time of stopping being a mechanic and whatnot, I went to community college, and I bought a couple of vending machines. And so I placed them all around the campus. So when I was going to school, I would be able to fill them up, and I make, a couple $100 a month. Nothing like crazy, but it was just like, hey, well, I'm going out this way anyways, and why not, get something on my route? So I bought 3 vending machines. And then I ended up going out to Chico State, and where I met my wife. And then the same time, I studied business marketing and started taking my real estate classes and courses, right, through the college. And at that point, I was I was still in school, and I started door knocking houses, and I did my first 7 deals that year by just door knocking. right? And so that's kind of the history of me getting into real estate, right?
It's pretty amazing. I mean, I sometimes I was thinking before this interview, I was thinking, I wonder if he's Carnegie reincarnate. You
Yeah.
started your empire early as a kid.
Yep.
Yeah,
I just knew I couldn't do the 9 to 5 thing. Right. I struggle with like staying still and doing the same thing over and over again. I'm not saying I haven't done it, the 9 to 5 during college. I was broke and I needed money. So I worked at Best Buy. I eventually became their senior. The thing is if I'm doing something, I'm super focused on it and I'm going to do it very well. Right. I'm
yeah.
going to work harder than most people. So I eventually became senior of operations, operations manager for Best Buy while I was there. And then
Wow.
my last year I was doing real estate and I made more money in real estate in 6 months than I did the whole year of being at Best Buy. So I was like, I'm out of here with the Best Buy stuff. And I just focused on real estate. And then it's ever since then, 2005, I've been in real estate full time.
So I'm also curious. Can you think back to a time, maybe when you were a kid in elementary school or whenever, that just somehow inspired you, or was it just in your nature somehow?
I mean, there was definitely life events that between like my parents and stuff that I
Yeah.
realized, like, I don't want to um, fight ever about money. I don't want to have the
Mm,
issue ever having to talk about money. Like that is just, I don't ever want that to be in my life when I grew up. And that's what I think intrigued me to go into something to create my own future, be, very conscious of my spending habits and learning about money and investing and stuff like that. Right. That's, I think, what um, that really got me into it. I mean, of course, my aunt, who was a business or still is, I guess, and she's written books and, coach for, Fortune 500 companies and CEOs, but she's a business coach. Right. And so, just watching her and listening to her, I'd do that. And then my parents being very supportive about anything I wanted to do. They were just very supportive. If I wanted to try this, they were going to do whatever they could to let me try it. Right. I
that's
was
fantastic.
convincing, like, I'm very like, look, I really want to do this. I'm going to put 100%, 110% effort into it until I figure it out. Right. And that's,
Yeah,
so
you're a natural closer, it sounds like.
the funny thing is I don't even really practice on my closings. I just more focus on the conversation and having and connecting with people and getting to wanted to learn and know about people. Right. I think it's us being in this world is fascinating because there's so many different personality types and everybody's got a different story that you can learn from.
Yeah, that's really true. And this specific community with SubTo, I mean, I've been around the block a few times in different kinds of businesses. And the thing that really has impressed me with Pace Morby's community is this idea of community and go-giver. I mean, he
Hmm.
uses that all the time, to be a go-giver, to be a helper, and he encourages everybody that comes into the community to do that.
Oh yeah.
So let's go back in history to the beginning of Pace Morby's thing,
Hmm.
community. So you said you were one of the first. Now, it's hard to count on which one that is, but what year was it? And I think you mentioned to me you thought you were like the 50th person. So what was it
Yeah.
like? What was it like?
So that was, yeah, May of 2020. I was definitely in the first 50. I think, I don't know the exact number. I saw it one time. I think it was like 43 or 46. I can't remember.
Huh.
Um, and I would have probably been sooner, but I didn't see the email right away. But I knew, like, I had been doing some creative stuff prior, probably like 6, 7 years prior to joining SubTo, lease options, seller financing, some basic wrap stuff. And then I had fumbled through like my first SubTo probably a year before SubTo started, or even like the free version or free course. And I just, you know, I fumbled through it basically. And I was like, oh, I want to learn more about the SubTo. I really like the concept of it. And I feel like it's going to open up a lot of doors there. And then I, came across Pace. I'm not quite sure how, I think it was from a mutual friend or someone that, Pace knows, and somebody that knew Pace. And he told me about the free course or free Facebook group. So I joined it, and at that time, I had a decent size wholesaling operation, doing 3 to 5 deals a month, and wanted to get and pick up more and more rentals. That was the main focus. Didn't even really want to be in wholesaling. It just kind of happened from flipping and then going into a virtual market. So, anyways, joined the free Facebook group, and I see how much information Pace is sharing, his personality, him being just a go-giver. I'm like, man, if he ever creates a course, I'm gonna pay for it. At that point, the cost of it, it wasn't even a consideration, because I was like, it could be a $50,000 course and it would pay itself 10 times over. Right. And so, probably 6-7 months of being in that free course, he announced that he was thinking about creating a mentorship, I think is what he called it at the time, or community. I'm not sure if, maybe it was community, he said. But I was like, I'm going to sign up for the waiting list. As soon as I saw a link, I signed up for it. And then I got the call, and I still had my partner at the time. And I got the call from the rep, and they're like, telling me about it. I'm like, I'm in. Don't tell me anymore. I'm in. Yeah. And then they told me the cost. I'm like, I'm definitely in, because that's crazy how cheap that is. And so I went to my business partner at the time, and I said, hey, this is opening up. I think this is going to be great. I think we should really do this. And he wasn't really for it, because we were so busy already with the other stuff. And I was like, you know what? That's fine. I paid for it out of my own pocket. And I'm glad I did, because it's being 18 years in this business, it's one of the best things I've seen, communities I've been in. And the reason why I'm so attracted to it and love helping out is because I remember when I first started trying to get into real estate. Again, it's a little bit different time. This is 2005, right? When I first got started, we didn't have all these resources. And I reached out to probably 100 plus people to see if I could mentor with them or just shadow them. And people were telling me no. Everybody thought they had the secret, right? And I love now being able to help people get their first deal, right? And there's so much involvement in the community. There's so many different leaders, so many people that have that same mindset of just helping people and sharing what they're doing and what success they're having. And that's where, that's why I'm involved in it, and I want to keep staying involved for it as long as, Pace in the community will have me.
I don't think that'll ever stop. So let's fast forward a little bit. So now you are every Thursday, is it on Daily Dial?
Friday.
No,
yeah.
Friday.
So I do a couple different things. I actually do comping on Tuesday for executive members. And then I do Friday's Daily Dial for the full community. And I actually started doing one-on-one coaching a couple months ago.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Is that through the executive program, or what is that?
Yeah, so I don't know 100% how it works. I just know they asked me a couple months ago to be a coach. So I'm one of 4 people that are coaching, and you have to be an executive member, and there's another package on top of that. I don't know the details. I just know I get to have one-on-one conversations with people that they're not even actually just brand new to real estate. Like, I'm talking to people that own 200 doors, people that are successful, and they're just trying to figure out their path now into making real estate more of a full-time type of business. Right. And so I get to have wonderful conversations with people like that, or just brand new people that just need direction. And I feel like I do well at that, because I've done a lot of different things in real estate and been doing it for a long time. So I could see like certain personality types of where they fit and where they would be good at. Right.
Yeah. So I want to go back to this idea of community a little bit. This podcast series is really dedicated to the fact that community seems to really be coming into its own as far as an entrepreneurial structure. So I'd be curious to hear especially when you're working with some of these executive members who've been in the business a long time, have 200 doors, know what they're doing, but are learning, to go deeper through Pace's methods. How do you see that happening and benefiting? I mean, how has it benefited your particular business to be a part of this community, other than giving, which I know you do all the time?
Mhm.
How has it really benefited you and your business, and how do you see it when you're talking with the executive members? How do you see it helping them?
Yeah. So the first aspect of it is I'm always learning, right? I'm never going to say that I know it all, or I don't need to grow anymore, right? I'm always growing. I'm always learning. So helping within the community also helps myself because I get to learn from other people too, right? Uh, I look at, even if maybe you haven't done a lot of deals, I look at, okay, what was your past experience, or what have you done recently on a deal that maybe I'm not doing, right? And how can I implement that into my business? So I benefit from that, right? There is, I constantly get to learn from other people, even though I might be helping them. I think if you really are focused on the conversation, you're going to learn something from somebody every time you have a conversation, right? It's just how
Yeah.
you perceive it and how you focus on that conversation. The second thing is, I mean, by being a go giver and putting myself out there, look, you might not realize it and people might not realize this, but I used to be very introverted, and I've had to push myself to say yes to being on, shows like this, or do any other thing like within the daily dial. I had to really push myself. I'm good with talking one-on-one. I'm okay with talking one-on-one conversations. In big groups, I'm a little bit uncomfortable, and presenting, I'm pretty uncomfortable with it. So I've had to push myself to these levels to keep growing, right? Because that's just another thing. You just constantly got to keep growing. And by doing this, though, people now recognize me as helping
Mhm.
out and having the knowledge to get through deals. And so people come and work with me, and I get to get the first deal, right? Or their second or third deal or whatever, partner up. Like, I just closed a deal a couple of weeks ago with a gentleman that's in SubTo. He's been an agent for 10 plus years, has done other deals, and we just closed a deal for $40,000, and we got to split that, right? That was, and I came in and helped with the negotiations and setting up and structuring and all that stuff. So that's where, I get some benefit from that. And then on regards to the one-on-one coaching, it's like, again, if I can help them get their first deals, I know they're gonna, spread the word or talk to whoever, like, hey, Dustin, help me out. And then that's going to come back to me. And even if that doesn't come out, I still just get the gratification of like, awesome, I'm helping this person get their first deal. And once you get that first deal, people are like, oh, wow, that actually wasn't so hard. And then it's the proof of concept and they get to do it. I know Pace talks about this, but it's like one of those, I get more of a adrenaline rush, I feel like, sometimes when I help people get to where they want to go, right? Or they get the clarification like, oh, yes, this is what I need to do, or they get their first deal. Because I've been in those shoes. I know how we've all been in those shoes, right? How the struggle of getting that first deal and being consistent. And once somebody breaks over that the stretch or hump, it's just amazing to see how they grow from there. So
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's tough. So I have another question for you, having to do
mhm.
with Uncle Vince, as he's known in the community.
Yeah, Uncle
Um,
Alonzo, yep.
yeah, Alonzo. Um, how did you get to meet Vince, and how, because now you're a part of his team, right? Of Dispo Titans.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, Uncle Lanza, we met because he was one of the first 52. So we see each other on Zooms, um, and just connected. He, and he was in the Bay Area. I was in San Diego at the time, but we just connected. And when it came down, I got asked to do it under, like, I brought up the idea. I can't remember if I brought up the idea, or I think I brought up the idea of doing like an underwriting Zoom, because a lot of people were coming to me already and asking if I can help underwrite deals, because I let people know, look, this is my experience, this is my background. I can look at deals and tell you pretty easily if it's a deal or not, or what's the best exit strategy. And so I think I brought up the idea like, hey, maybe on the daily dial, we, instead of at that time, I think it was only just Ty, and he was doing it like every day. And I was like, hey, what about if we break this up? I can help out on Fridays, do, daily dial underwriting, because a lot of people seem to need that help. And then Uncle Lonza, I think, was helping out with something. And so we I don't know where the conversation, it's a while back now, so I can't remember, but the conversation happened like, hey, let's team up and do this. And so we started doing the underwriting, and then Joseph and SubTo and them, and I think and Uncle Lonza, they were talking about doing the whole dispo thing, and they asked me if I'd be interested in that, and I said, yeah, if I can help out and get people their first deals and close it, and I got the experience, then yeah, I'd love to do it. So that's how I ended up
That's
on
another
that side.
aspect of your,
Yeah.
yeah. It's amazing how it just kind of continues to expand and grow. The more people the more opportunities you have, and you can move into new areas. Speaking of new areas, well, it may not be so new for you. Currently, you're really focused on, as far as your buy box is concerned, on RV and mobile home parks. How did that come around, and why? And
yeah. So sorry to cut you off there.
No, you didn't.
So I actually started really like 8 years ago. I was talking to a friend who was a mobile home park appraiser and owned a couple different mobile home parks. I talked to him about getting into it and investing in it. But I was so busy with my flipping and other real estate, the single family stuff, I just never put the effort towards it. Right. I couldn't focus on another thing until 6-7 months, or actually maybe it's 8 months ago. I was helping out another SubTo student, helping him with some creative deals that were locking up. And he brought me an RV park out in Alabama. And I looked at the thing, underwrote it, and I was like, this thing's amazing. Let's buy this thing. And so I offered, Christian's name. I said, hey, let's partner up on this thing. I think this is a deal. Let's put in escrow. I negotiated terms with the seller. And so that just, again, then at that point, like, sparked my interest. Like, I'm putting the same amount of effort into these bigger deals as I'm doing in single family. So why not put my efforts into something that's, one, going to make more money, and two, it was bringing more excitement back into the real estate, because truthfully, I was kind of getting bored, and I needed something else. And so that was it. And then I talked to my buddy who was the mobile home park appraiser, and come to find out, we wouldn't talk a whole lot, but, here and there over the years. And because he lived in other states and whatnot. But anyways, found out he now owns 90 parks. And I was like, oh man,
wow.
If I could have started when you started, could I have been at that level? And anyway, so just got me pumped up again. And so we went in escrow. We, found private money for the deal. And then we're like, while I was out there, I'm like, look, actually, I really want to focus on this. And Christian is great with talking with sellers and building rapport. And I didn't really want to do that side anymore, even though I do jump in and help out on the pitching the terms and stuff. But I wanted to focus on building the business. And so I'm like, look, I want to team up with you. Let's build out an actual mobile home park and RV park business. And then we brought on another partner to help out with it. And so now, in the last 6 months, really is where I say we really got focused on it. And really in the last 3 months, we start putting the SOPs together. We're creating systems and processes. We're getting it more systemized. And, now we got, we did have 3 in escrow, but we got 2 in escrow right now. And so it's now snowballing, and we're picking up deals. And mainly the reason, like I said, I just got into it is because I was kind of getting bored, and then putting the same amount of effort into single family stuff, I want to put into bigger deals.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I know that some people also, that their next step after the flipping and the fixing and the wholesaling and even buying and holding with rentals, move into multifamily, because there's more money to be made with one deal with a lot of energy,
Yeah.
but it's a bigger payoff.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, yeah, go ahead.
It's definitely more work, right? For the on the commercial side or doing multifamily or RV parks, and actually, if you look and break it down, what is your best returns? It is on single family. You can do a
Really?
you can do a creative single family deal, and you will have a most likely, and it's I shouldn't say yeah, you'll have a better cash on cash return, especially if you get into creative and
Hmm.
you get, financing or whatnot. Even if you say, let's take out the aspect of bringing in private money on single family, you can get better terms. And it's easier to get better terms on single family stuff, um, and get a better cash on cash return than it is on most commercial deals from at least for what I experienced and from talking to other people that are doing creative stuff within multifamily or just buying multifamily in general. It's easier to get better returns. However, what I'm more into is getting a bigger check with the same amount of work and it's economy of scale, right? I can own less mobile home parks to make the same amount I'm going to be making owning, this is a hypothetical number, but 50 to 100 mobile homes, or I'm sorry, houses, single family houses.
Single
So
family.
that's why I just looked at it. I said, hey, look, where I want to get to on the monthly scale of income, I am going to have to buy X amount of single family. And then when I looked at it, how many I'd have to get on the mobile home park side and RV park side, it was a lot less. And I decided, hey, I'm gonna go that route.
Yeah. We seem to have a ghost in my office.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, is this shutting down?
Oh, my bad. um, well, that's really, I mean, I could go on forever talking with you, Dustin. I mean, you are such a wealth of experience and knowledge, and it's so easy to talk with you and get benefit of that. I mean, everything from I could see you coaching because you not only have the experience with structuring a deal and everything from A to Z that goes into that, but you also you also have the mindset. I mean, you talk about the learning and
Mhm.
even though you're shy, getting yourself out there and having gone through your own struggles with mindset, even though you were a natural born entrepreneur and you had the drive and the competition and everything else was set up for you, there were still things, I'm guessing, without going into a great deal of depth, that you needed to work through on a
Mhm.
very personal level. And now you're talking about, strategically planning your revenue, according to your long-term and short-term goals, but
Mhm.
the best way to get that revenue the quickest. And man, I may just sign up for the executive plan just to just to get one-on-one coaching with you.
That's
So
funny.
okay. So is there anything, I mean, I don't want to keep you for too long. Is there anything else that we can add to this that you'd like to kind of add at the end? How can you've given so much in this community? How can people give back to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always looking for deals, right? Mobile home park, RV parks. I love like that's my focus right now. So if you come across something like that, I can underwrite it. I will negotiate with the seller, and I could be the buyer, right? Beyond that, too, we're connecting with a lot of people, right? We created our Facebook group, MHP Nation. We created our YouTube channel, MHP Nation, so we connect with people that are where we want to be, right? And so those are going to be some of our JV partners on the first couple of deals. Like this is, it's funny is when people talk to me like, how can I get my first deal? I say the easiest and fastest way is to connect with somebody and get somehow into their deal, right? Can you bring the money? Can you bring time? Can you talk? Can you underwrite the deal, integration, whatever? Figure out how you can get into somebody's deal. That's going to be your easiest way to get into your first deal. Well, guess what? Look what I'm doing right now. We're going to be partnering. Well, these two, we're partnering already with people that are where we want to be. People that own 1,000 pads, other, other
Wow.
people that have lots of experience, because one, we want to learn as fast as possible, and we want to make sure our deal is good, because we got private money and private partner or private lending partners on these deals, right? And so we're going to do that for the first 5 to 7 until we feel comfortable with our operations, our SOPs, and everything, until we know we have it down. And so, yeah, I'm looking for that stuff, and I'd be glad to come in and help wherever I can if you bring me a lead of that sort.
So I have one last question for you
Yeah.
too, because it's in the RV and mobile home park area, and kind of comparing it to multifamily. You keep mentioning private money.
Mhm.
So you're not using any kind of securities, any kind of funding as far as that's concerned. It's all
Not at this
individual.
point. Not at this point. We will look. We're going to start looking into that, but at this point in our business, no, it's not needed. But yes, there is going to be a point where we're going to need to, have a fund put together, because we're going to need, multiple investors. The parks that we're getting into now, luckily, with the way that the seller financing terms and the price points of these, there we can have 1 or 2 individual equity partners into the deal, right? And so that makes sense for us right now.
So you mentioned also starting your own community and getting the word out there on YouTube. Do you see this turning into a mentorship or a franchise or something like that? Or is it just...
No, I don't want to create a mentorship. I want to create a community like Pace. The whole reason why we created that MHP Nation Facebook group is so people could come in and learn as we learn too, right?
Yeah.
Your ghost is back.
It's
just it's just for people to come in here and learn. If they're passionate and want to learn about that aspect of real estate, is come in here, learn for free, and follow us along on our journey, right? In there we say follow us along from beginning to end. Get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to show you everything. I just made a post on how we had to cancel one of our parks that we were in escrow in day 45 of a 60-day due diligence period, because we ran into issues with zoning and then seller not wanting to do different things, and so we had to cancel, and it was heartbroken, but it was the right decision because we had to protect our investors. So we talk about the stuff that is also not all sunshine and rainbows, because we talk about our actual experiences that we're dealing with. And so that's why we created that group. We're never going to charge for that, and it's we just want to connect with like-minded people.
Okay, so what I will do is we'll have a link to your communities down in our description.
Awesome.
And people who want to connect with you can go through those communities to get in touch with you, right?
Yep, and Instagram at Dustin Kircher. Yep.
Okay. Is it all one word?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. Again, I could go on and on with you. I learn so much every time I talk to you. And as you talk, I'm sitting here madly writing down notes. So if I just want to say thank you very much. And if you ever need anything from me or the viewers of this video, let me know, and I'll put it back down in the description to connect with you in various different ways. So cool. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And thank you, Dustin. Do you have any closing comments at all?
Nope. I appreciate you, Robin. And I look forward to seeing everybody that you have come on the show, because there's going to be lots to learn. Yeah, it is. It's overwhelming. So it's the proverbial fire hose of information that we're trying to distill down. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I got to go take care of my ghost. So thanks again. And we'll be seeing you. Thanks, Dustin. Sounds good. Thanks, Robin.